Welcome back to the Kia Hyundai channel. My name is Gabi, and right behind me is a vehicle that sits just over, and I mean just over, $36,000 Canadian. It's a sedan that gets you all-wheel drive and a ton of tech and safety functions. Now, what if I told you for $100 more, you could get this car, but as a hybrid? Except there's one major thing: you will no longer get all-wheel drive. So in today's video, we're talking about the entry-level Hyundai Sonata, which features the Trend package and all-wheel drive standard. Now this vehicle is quite impressive, and I am a huge fan of sedans. I wish there was more of them. Unfortunately, this is the only sedan in the Kia Hyundai world that's gasoline and also offers all-wheel drive, at least in our market as of right now. We're going to get into a full in-depth live streamed walkthrough of this vehicle. The best part about doing this live is we can answer your questions in real time. So if while you're watching this, anything strikes your mind, please leave it in the live chat below or to the side, depending on where you're watching this from, and I'll take a look at the questions and answer them towards the end of this video. Now let's get right into it. Adam's going to take over on the camera, and first I'm just going to show you guys the Sonata lineup. So we have three trim lines of the Sonata. There's the Preferred Trend all-wheel drive that we have here today, the MSRP of $36.99 Canadian, and then the Preferred Trend Hybrid. Now, of course, this will add a hybrid powertrain, but we do lose out on the all-wheel drive. So that is a major consideration if you are shopping Sonata. Then we have the N line. Now the N line is the high performance variant of the Sonata. It features a 2.5-liter turbocharged powertrain and a dual clutch transmission, and that also does not come with all-wheel drive. So if all-wheel is all you're after, watch this video. We'll first start off on the front end, where we'll talk styling as well as technology, safety, and then work our way underneath the hood. The first thing I always point out on the Sonata is our daytime running lamp. Now this expands all the way across the front end of the vehicle, and it's called our Horizon Seamless Lighting Grille, or lighting signature. It's a full LED, so with LEDs, not only are they brighter and a bit more modern, they're also going to last longer than a traditional bulb. The main headlamps themselves are also an LED. They're a multi-reflection headlamp, not a projector beam, still offering a very sharp line of visibility. You do get intelligent high beam assist integrated onto the Sonata, so if you frequently use your high beams, as long as your headlamp is in the auto function, it'll turn off your high beams if it senses another vehicle or sufficient ambient light. So if I'm driving in the country and I need the extra beam, they'll be on, but as soon as I pull into the city and there's street lights and light, it'll shut them off and I'll just have my regular headlamps. So this car will make you a slightly better person. At least, maybe. For our design cues, we'll have a lot of gloss black finishes, and in my opinion, this makes the transmission blue exterior paint pop. There's so much contrast on this vehicle, the brightness of the lights, the darkness of the piano black, and then the beautiful grayish blue hue. Absolutely perfect. It is such a beautiful design. The lower grille has that same gloss black finish, and then we have quite a bit of this satin chrome material too to break things up and give it that classy look. Now, of course, this isn't the sport version of the Sonata. It's not the N line, but it still gives an overall very sporty styling approach. I love it so much. The wide lines or horizontal lines also give the vehicle a bit more road presence and stance too. All right, so let's pop the hood and talk powertrain. So the Trend or Preferred Trend, again, is your entry trim level Sonata, and it has the 2.5-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine. Again, the N line has a 2.5-liter too, but that will be turbocharged with higher output, of course. When you have this variation, not only do you get a hydraulic hood, which is always a nice touch, your engine and horsepower and torque output will be 191 for your horsepower and 181 pound-feet for your torque. For our fuel efficiency, we're estimated about 8.6 liters per 100 kilometers. Now that is for combined driving, so both highway and city values mixed together, divided together. What you'll see in real time or real world driving really comes down to what your driving situation looks like, how heavy you are on the throttle, and what drive modes you use, because there is a sport mode on this car, and that does sometimes consume a bit more fuel. Your transmission is a regular automatic. It is an 8-speed automatic transmission, so that uses a regular torque converter, no dual clutch at all, just smooth shifting, seamless automatic operation. Don't have to worry about any of that overheating or any of that IVT, CVT road noise. It's just a quiet, smooth ride. And that's what you want in a mid-size sedan like this vehicle here. You want it to feel comfortable, you want it to be responsive, and that's exactly what this powertrain does. Our wheels, let's check them out. So they are exclusive to this trim level. Our tires are a Pirelli P0 tire. And the alloy design itself features quite a bit of machine finished elements, so you get that nice contrast. It is an 18-inch in diameter wheel, so a bit of a larger wheel, but it fits the overall body quite well. There's not a lot of gaps, it's smooth, it works. Your front brakes are ventilated disc brakes, and then you'll get solids in the rear, with of course the front ones being larger. The way the H-Track all-wheel drive system works on this vehicle is it's primarily front-wheel drive just for fuel efficiency. So if I'm on a regular dry road, there's really no need to send power to the rear unless I'm launching it from a standstill. But if I drive into a gravel road or wherever I might experience uneven terrain, the vehicle will automatically adjust to redistribute some power to the rear if it senses it's necessary. There is also a dedicated snow mode on this car, which will automatically send a bit more power to the rear. It can go all the way down to a 50-50 split if it senses you need it, but primarily it'll be 80-20 for your average snowy drive conditions. One of my other favorite design cues on the exterior is this side or fender integrated signal repeater. So I will run around and turn the lights on to show you guys what it actually looks like, but that is a really cool way of, instead of having your turn signals being on your mirror, putting them right on the side and working it into design cue. I think it's a really nice touch and really adds some style to this car. So while I slowly make my way over to the cabin to turn on our hazards, I'll have Adam kind of give a pan of where our lights will change. So there we are. Our turn signal cues, those of course will also work their way onto the front of the vehicle. So that daytime running light bar we saw earlier transforms its outer edges to be your indicator lights. Adam will also walk over to the rear of the vehicle where we'll check out our taillights and the way they illuminate when in operation. The taillights are full LEDs, just like the rest of the vehicle. And then we'll also have LEDs for our interior cabin lights too. I'm going to hit the brakes real quick so you guys can see the brake lights in action. And now we'll do it without the hazards on. There we go. Alrighty guys, let's check out the trunk area. I'll also quickly talk about the rear suspension. It is a multi-link rear suspension, so as far as handling goes, if you're driving dynamically, it's quite responsive, but it's also forgiving for everyday driving, so speed bumps, potholes, that kind of thing. Try to go around the potholes, but for uneven roads or just Ontario roads, it is a very comfortable drive. Now for cargo space, the downside of sedans is always going to be the opening. Now the opening's not, again, going to be as big as an SUV, but it is very wide and it's work withable. We'll say that. If you play hockey, my family has always played hockey, my brother, my dad, everyone, they've always found a way to work it into a sedan, so you can make it work. Now your rear seats, they do fold down. They go in a 60-40 split, so your right-hand side or passenger side is the 60 and the driver's side is the 40. This vehicle features a tire mobility kit instead of a spare tire. So essentially in this little bag, you'll have an inflator as well as a sealant. Now the sealant plugs onto the inflator, you pop it onto your tire and it will reinflate your tire while also moving that sealant inwards to plug any holes or leaks you may experience in your tire. Now this is great, again, if you pick up a nail and are starting to lose air while you're driving, and it also minimizes the time you spend on the side of the road. Changing a spare could take a little longer, unless you're a spare tire expert. But it's not a replacement if you experience a tire blowout. So in that case, you do have 5 years, unlimited kilometers of roadside assistance at your convenience. All right, let me close this up so we can talk about the rear end of the Sonata and how she looks. Very beautiful design cue in my opinion is the spoiler. So the spoiler is not just exclusive to the sport model. We'll get gloss black on the preferred trend with some small finning details up at the top. Whether that's actually for aerodynamics or just styling, the jury is still out, but either way, it looks good. Tail lamps are full LEDs, like I mentioned earlier on, and then our Hyundai badge is hidden beneath the tail lamp housing. There's gloss black finishes behind that glass too, and then your Sonata badge is finished in a brushed aluminum, just like our Hyundai badge up at the front, and our rear one too. There is a release for your trunk. So as long as you have the vehicle unlocked or the key somewhere on you, by pressing this, it'll open up. You can also have it in its smart setting. So all you have to do is simply walk up to the back of your car with the key on you. It'll automatically open, which is quite handy. but we frequently turn it off at the dealership, just considering how many times we stand by cars with the keys. We don't always want the trunk to open. The rear of the vehicle, I'll quickly point out, we have our rear tow eye. So hopefully you never have to use this, but if you do slide off into a ditch and you need to be recovered, this is where they'll drill in your tow hook. Well, we shouldn't talk about that. That's not a happy thing to talk about. Most cars have them. Now, underneath on the passenger side, we'll have our tailpipe. It is pointed downwards, so it's not exactly within view. But I will highlight that the diffuser itself is designed in a very beautiful way. I think it is, again, adding to that very sporty appeal, regardless of it not being a sport trim, with the accents being in multiple finishes, so the satin chrome or silver, and then a huge panel of gloss black. Alrighty, let's talk fuel tank next. The fuel tank on this vehicle is fairly large. It's a 60-liter tank. All you need is regular unleaded fuel, so no mid-grade, no premium necessary, and it is operated by simply pushing it. As long as the vehicle is unlocked, it'll open. If for whatever reason it's not opening, make sure your vehicle's not locked. And that is it for our exterior. If you guys have any questions, again, I'll remind you now, please leave them in the live chat below. If you're watching this in the future, feel free to comment your questions because I still check them every single day. Even if this video is 2 years old at the time you're watching it, I will probably still be checking it. Now, Adam's gonna give a quick pan of the interior before I hop in. We have a beautiful leather seat material. Heated and ventilated seats for both driver and passenger up at the front. They are extremely comfortable. I'm also really happy to say that both driver and passenger up at the front also have power-controlled seats. So it's very easy to maneuver your position while you are driving. The driver's seat is memory as well. So if you're a multi-driver household and you have very different heights, this will probably save you from a couple of fights. All of the adjustments you see on the side here, like our height as well as the angle of the seat, the backrest, and the two-way lumbar support, can be linked with our door buttons here for memory seats. You can see we have one separate for set, so you would do set and then driver 1 or driver 2. Sorry, save 1 or save 2. This leads a lot of people to think that they can only save 2 seat settings, which again also link to your mirrors, so mirrors will also adjust. But there's a whole lot more than that. There's actually 6 different saves because we have 3 driver profiles in the car. There's a guest, a driver 1, and a driver 2. Of course, you can change the name, so it's not going to be so monotone. You can have your car call you whatever you want. So each driver profile will get 2 saves, and those, of course, will be those 2 buttons on the door card. For our interior, the door card itself has a largely black finish, but a nice silver painted door handle to break things up. No premium sound system in the preferred trend package, but it's still pretty dang good. Unless you guys are music freaks or speaker freaks, audio freaks, then you might have some things to say. But I think most modern cars have a pretty good factory sound system. Along the driver knee area, we have our brightness adjustment, our traction control, trunk release, and our electronic parking brake. The finishes of the dash material will include a little bit of metal inserts, so giving them a bit of a more modern, futuristic cabin. We'll see that touch work its way all throughout. And then we still have the luxe touches though. So like I said, the memory seats that are also linked to your mirrors, but also a heated and leather wrapped steering wheel. The heat has 2 different levels and it heats up the entire wheel. So no matter how you like to drive, your hands will still be cozy and you can preset it to be on from your phone. So there's a BlueLink app connection, remote start your vehicle from the phone anywhere in the country, turn on the heated seats, heated steering wheel, whatever you want, hop in, everything is perfect. I love the BlueLink app. The left-hand side is for our driver assistance functions. So this vehicle already comes with smart cruise control. You'll turn it on by this top left button here, set your speed with the plus and minus toggles, and then set your following distance with our bottom left car icon. So this little button looks like a car with some lines behind it, and again, that just cycles through the preset following distances. So there's 4 to choose from. I like to refer to them as car lengths, so if you want to be one car length behind the person in front of you, 2 car lengths, 3 car lengths, 4 car lengths, you name it. And then of course, you set your speed and the vehicle does the rest. So if traffic slows down, your vehicle slows down too, even if you don't press the brake. To the right of that button, we have our steering assistance. So this is technically called lane follow assist, and it utilizes the camera in your windshield. I'll have Adam kind of hop out and show you what that looks like, to watch what's happening in the lanes ahead of you. Although this button looks like it only operates one feature, it actually handles two, and the way you press the button changes what you turn on or what you turn off. So one quick press of this button will turn on lane following assistance, marked by this circle steering wheel icon here. So I'm going to take over the camera. There we go. Our circular steering wheel icon. See if I can work my finger over there. There we go. And then our button next to it is called lane keeping assist. A lot of people get these confused because, I mean, both terms have the word lane in it. Both of them use the same camera, and now both of them are operated by the same button. So the first one I mentioned, lane following assist, uses that camera, watches the lanes, and if the lanes bend, such as a slight bend in the road, your vehicle will steer into it. It'll keep you centered at all times throughout the travel of the lane. Think of it as a smart cruise control for your steering. So instead of me doing all those minor corrections, the car does it. Also very helpful if you have a bad alignment. You may not notice if you always use the lane safety. The other feature, lane keeping assist, watches the lane markers, and if you're someone who likes to change lanes without signaling, it'll beep at you and give a little bit of correction on the steering wheel. So one of them is annoying, the other one is nice and helpful. However, how you like these functions totally depends on you. I like to think of one as annoying, but that's just me. All right, so let's talk about the gauge cluster behind. It is what seems to be a fully digitized gauge cluster, but in reality, this is the only center section that you can adjust. So you can flip between the menus there by pressing this button here. You can see your trip reading, your lane safety, and then also your all-wheel drive torque distribution and your active tire pressure. Now for your speedometer and your tachometer, they are fully digital and they adjust automatically. They're always on display, so you can't be in a separate view where those are not visible. Very handy, and you can also change the theme. So if you don't like the blue and the orange, that is okay. Within the head unit, you can customize it, and all of that will be linked to your driver profile. The right-hand side is where we'll find our media controls. So the top right icon is for voice commands. We have this roller dial for volume, phone button to answer a call, and then our star button over here will be a programmable favorites button. Mode cycles you between all of the available media modes, and then this toggle here is what you'll use to either go to the next song, next station, last song, that kind of thing. So depending on what media you're on, it'll have different settings or different functions. The main display is 12.3 inches in size, and it's a full touchscreen. This is called our CCNC software, Car Connected Navigation Cockpit. Pretty cool. Now this particular trim level does not have integrated nav, but it does have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. So if you go to pair your phone, oh, I might have pressed online manual, there we go. If you go to pair your phone and your phone is capable of either Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, it'll automatically project as long as your phone is in the car. Under the vehicle settings, we can go ahead and change things like the driver assistance functions on the car, make it a little bit more me if that's what I'm after. If there's ever a safety function that you're not a fan of, you can also see what tweaks you can make. So whether it's the warning volume that you find is too loud or too quiet, or maybe the sensitivity, by hopping in this menu, you can go ahead and make those changes and save them all to your select profile. So again, if someone else frequently drives their car and they have their own profile in the vehicle, when they hop in and select theirs, it'll be their separate settings. So no more fighting. That goes for media, seats, and safety. Alrighty, let's go underneath. We have our air vents and a nice horizontal finish across the dash of the vehicle, just like that daytime running light, and proper physical buttons for all of our media controls. So if I were to press home, it would jump me on my main screen to my home page, and the rest do, again, exactly as they say. There is a dial for volume on the left and a tune knob on the right. Below that, we have all of our climate control settings. Now this is a mix of physical dials and haptic or screen style buttons. So by pressing the heated seat, of course it turns on my heated seat, and I can adjust the intensity. Same thing for the ventilation and the heated steering wheel. And make sure I turn the ventilation off so I don't get cold. There's this off button here to turn the climate control system completely off. Ooh, English is hard. And then we can go ahead and adjust our fan speeds on command or turn on the auto function. Now what auto pretty much does is it sets the intensity of the temperature you've selected. So if I set 22 degrees Celsius on low intensity, marked by 1 amber indicator, it'll keep me there at all times with that fan speed. If I set it to high intensity, as soon as that temperature changes a little bit, I'll hear my fans come off, it'll be a little bit stronger, maybe a bit noisier, but it'll get me to that temp quicker. Underneath, we have a USB-C on the left for data connectivity and charging, and then the one in the middle / middle right will be simply for charging. Much faster chargers from USB-Cs. There's also a 12-volt inverter, so I gotta push a little harder. And this area here is actually quite large. I don't know how it appears on camera, but multiple phones can fit here, sunglasses, whatever you need really, there's a good amount of space. Because we have so much space, there's a reason for it, and that's because there's no gear shift here. The gear shift is actually mounted on the steering column, and it is a shift by wire. So, in order for me to operate this gear shift, what I do is exactly as it says. If you tip forwards, it puts it into drive, center for neutral, and tip downwards for reverse, with the button on the end being for park. Because that is not here, we have lots of room for amenities, like cup holders. The one up at the front is going to be larger, however, both of them are pretty good sizes and fairly deep too, so your drinks shouldn't spill with a hard turn. This little storage pocket here fits the key perfectly, or even a phone if you have it upright. And then we have our drive mode select. So by pressing this button here, I can change what drive mode I'm in, from normal mode, sport mode, the customizable My Drive, and even snow mode. Snow mode again prioritizes a little bit more power to the rear wheels. Our camera here will summon our rear view on command, so if I'm parked and just want to take a look at what's happening back there, I can press it, but every time I throw the car in reverse, it comes up automatically. I'm going to have Adam join me now on the passenger side, where we'll talk about the seat for our passenger and then also what's up above. Again, for an entry trim level, I find it really nice that we have a full panoramic sunroof. So check her out. Expands all the way to the back. The glass stops around here. Perfect. And we can also have it in the tilt function too. So if I don't want too much air in, just a little bit, the tilt function will reduce, your hair flying everywhere or your hat flying off. It looks good. Lets a lot of light in. I'm gonna have Adam little bit step out of the cabin so we can show the passenger seat controls. So like I mentioned, they are powered. We got our distance and our height of the seat, adjustable here, and then our backrest. No lumbar support on the passenger. Your glove box is fairly deep, actually. And there's where you'll find your owner's manuals. And that's about it for the front of the vehicle. Let's hop into the back seats, talk about space and what else we get back there. I'd also like to highlight this vehicle is of course larger than the Hyundai Elantra. So this is more so of a mid-size versus a compact sedan. Oh. And if you are looking for an Elantra, lucky for you, they do have a hybrid variation of it as well as a very high performance Elantra and a moderately high performance Elantra. So there's the N line and the full N, as well as the Elantra hybrid and the regular gas version. However, none of them will have available all-wheel drive. That is simply on the Sonata as far as sedans go. Sedans that are not electric. All right, now for back seats, we've got a good amount of space. Our two main seats are very, very wide. You get a good amount of headroom. The slope isn't too harsh back here, so I don't feel confined or concealed at all. The headliner being a lighter material like this light gray also makes a big difference in the overall feel of the cabin as far as space goes. While I do love a black headliner, it definitely makes things feel a little bit tighter. So this really brightens things up. And of course the panoramic roof also helps with that too. There is a small quarter window right over here. So visibility, extra light in, and also for your driver to check their blind spots. And as far as, again, the seat, the two main ones, very, very impressive. We do have our rear USB-Cs. The one downfall, and before I actually talk about the downfall, I'll talk about an amenity. We've got our cup holder armrest here, very nice. The one downfall is the middle seat. Now look how high my foot is going. This is comfortable. Now, realistically, you wouldn't sit like this, and it's more dramatic because I am wearing heels. However, there is plenty of room for me to put a leg or a foot on each side, and I'm not really getting in the way of my passengers next to me at all. Because this vehicle is all-wheel drive, we're going to have a much higher hump running down the center, because we've got our drivetrain there. That's why it's so high up there. That's why this is definitely not the best seat in the house. But nonetheless, you can work with it. Don't put your tallest passenger here, and make sure whoever's in the middle likes the people next to them enough to put a leg on either side. Other than that, it's comfy. In no position, the seat's further back, so maybe I should move over. In no seat do I feel like I'm too close to something or too close to, you know, people next to me. Mind you, no one's next to me. It's a very, very comfortable sedan, for sure. I'll point out the door cards along the rear, so they match the same design we saw up at the front with our silver painted door handles, a little bit of soft touch material here too, which really does make a difference, and then a bottle holder along the bottom pockets. For the back of the passenger seat, we'll have a mesh or net pocket. There is nothing on the driver's side there. Alrighty, let's answer some questions. I'm going to take the camera from Adam and see what you guys have to say about the Sonata. If there's anything you guys are wondering about the vehicle, if you're comparing it to something else and you're curious about differences, let me know and I can answer them in real time. Just got my iPad here. I'm going to read through the comments, see what you guys have to say. Is rear seat heaters available? I believe your rear seat heaters will be on the N-Line Ultimate trim level. Sorry, I gotta stop making noise when I'm reading. Ryan has repeated the MSRP in the chat. So it is $36.99 Canadian. If you do want the hybrid, it's an additional $100. However, you will lose out on the all-wheel drive. The hybrid is only available as a front-wheel drive. The glove box doesn't have illumination like on some other models. You're right, it does not have LED lights inside, not just LEDs, it does not have illumination. I will talk about the interior lights. So they are LEDs all throughout. Adam, do you mind turning on the ones in the overhead? There we are. And of course, right over here too. So LEDs, I mean, filming during the daytime in a brightly lit studio don't really do them justice, but at nighttime they are very bright, and of course they last pretty long. That was one thing I always hated changing on some of my older vehicles. It was the cabin lights. Mind you, if they were in the back, I didn't care. They could stay burnt out. But up at the front, I needed them. A couple other questions. I saw Doubts was on in the chat. Hey, Daniel. This has to be the most beautiful car in the Hyundai lineup. Well presented, Gabi. Thank you. I totally agree. I think the Sonata is an absolutely beautiful vehicle. In no trim level do I think it looks bad. Again, this is the entry trim and it already looks so, so premium. So premium. Joseph is on. Hello, Joseph. Hello, Ryan. It's Ryan's birthday week, you guys. Everyone wish Ryan a happy birthday every single day this week. Warren said this isn't a hybrid car, correct? Correct. So this particular model is not a hybrid. However, the Sonata now comes with the hybrid again, which kind of is news on its own. So when the Sonata was first redesigned, or I guess refreshed in this current generation, we had the Trend package, or sorry, we had the Preferred model in front-wheel drive, we had the Preferred plus Trend with all-wheel drive, and then we had the N-Line Ultimate. There was no hybrid to be seen, and then suddenly this year for 2026, they introduced a hybrid model again. So I'm happy it's back. I'm very happy it's back. Someone said, curious why the hybrid can't have all-wheel drive. I mean, I believe it certainly can. It's certainly possible. I don't know why they didn't do it, but that is something I would like to see from the Sonata as well. My best guess is cost. They wanted to keep it in the middle of the Sonata lineup, or the Sonata, yeah, I guess Sonata lineup. And to make it all-wheel drive and a hybrid, it would likely be more than the N-Line, right? So they wanted to make it more cost-effective. I will also say, as far as efficiency goes, when you have a hybrid plus all-wheel drive, it won't be as efficient as just the front-wheel drive hybrid. And also, in my opinion, all-wheel drive isn't always the most necessary, especially either on a non-performance vehicle or a sedan. So in my opinion, winter tires are really the make or break. Winter tires are the only thing that will slow you down come wintertime. They're the only thing that will give you more grip. All-wheel drive doesn't give you more grip, it just gives you more power. And with more power can lead to greater bad situations sometimes. Sometimes you just find yourself going into the ditch faster with all-wheel drive. That's it. So of course, if you are opting for this vehicle, please do not think that all-wheel drive is a substitution for winter tires or safe driving. It will not make you invincible, it'll just give you more power. So instead of just power to the front, we're getting power to the rear now too. So that is more push, more, you know, It gets you going a little bit better. It doesn't help you stop a little bit better. Let's see what else. Does the hybrid model have less power than regular gas? Why is this happening? So the hybrid model has a smaller engine. It's got a 1.6 liter naturally aspirated powertrain, and then of course your electric motor and your battery. So yes, there is less horsepower, but we do have a much more torquey feel, and the vehicle does not feel sluggish at all. So again, horsepower, I mean, if you're looking for a performance vehicle, you might be after, you know, a really high horsepower number. But for something like a hybrid, a lot of people are more so after efficiency and also comfortable driving, comfortable ride. That vehicle can take the highway, get on no problem. You can pass people no problem, but it's not going to feel like a race car because it's not a race car. How is the all-wheel drive option projected to affect the long-term resale value of the Sonata? As mid-size sedan buyers often prioritize fuel economy over all-weather capability. That is a fantastic question. So this is the first time ever really we are seeing an all-wheel drive Sonata. It's definitely more recent. In its previous models, we did not have all-wheel drive. I mean, from what I've seen, our resale value has been quite good too. But it's hard to predict at what point in ownership are you selling your vehicle? What is the history like? Did you take care of the car? All of those usually come a little first, a little bit more important. I think our gimbal's going to die too. I just noticed it's flashing. We're going to keep rolling though until it dies, and then we'll probably end off. What is the plan for the LA Auto Show next week? It's not next week. That scared me. So the LA Auto Show is November 20th, I believe. So we got some time. I was going to say, we don't have a plan yet. I like the Hyundai Sonata. It looks amazing. Yes, I totally agree with you, David. It looks beautiful. It is a beautiful, beautiful car. Is it possible to force all-wheel drive on at all times like on other models? So no, this vehicle does not have a button to lock its differential. Locking its differential or having that kind of button in your vehicle or shift in your vehicle will give you a full 50-50 power split. And let me tell you why that's not always a good thing to turn on. So if you are actively stuck, turning on your locking diff can really help you because it will give you that even power all throughout. So if your front wheels are stuck, at least it gives the wheels in the rear a chance to help push things along. But if you drive on a dry road with it, it can stress your drivetrain. So it can do more bad than good sometimes. That is all just improper usage. But there are quite a bit of people that may not necessarily know this. You know, maybe their salesperson didn't explain this to them, or, you know, they never had anyone in their life explain that. And then, yeah, that's where things can go a little bad. My mom used to drive with her locking diff on all the time. As soon as there was a little bit of snow in the air, she would be like, oh, snow mode, turn on her locking diff. I'm like, Mom, that's not snow mode. That is something entirely different. Do not turn that on. You want to make sure you're going straight. Do not do a full dry steer with your locking diff on. Do not drive on, you know, regular pavement with the locking diff on. If it's coated in snow and you're driving slow and you're driving straight, absolutely helps you keep moving. But it is not necessary for just a little bit of powder in the air. So that is not the time to use it. And for the most part, the vehicle does a really good job at redistributing the power when it sees necessary. Ryan had a birthday. Happy birthday, Ryan. Yes, happy birthday, Ryan. DTUK is on, Christian's on, MG is on. Shout out to everyone that's on. Eduardo is on, David's on, Mazerborn's on. Let's see. I'm looking to buy the Sonata N-Line, and the only question I have is how reliable is it? Being a turbocharged car, about the rear seat heaters, the 2025 does not have it. I was wondering if the 2026 does. I'll have to refresh my memory on it. I haven't seen a 2026 Sonata yet, for the N-Line at least. I've seen the hybrid and the Preferred Trend, which of course we have here today, but I have not seen the N-Line. So I will go ahead and have a look for you and leave it in the comments down below once this video is done. Oh, also for reliability, I forgot though, there's two questions in that question. So for reliability, we've had the N-Line Sonata for, I guess, technically not 2 generations, but quite some time now. It first came, I believe, it was either 2021 or 2022. I don't remember what model year it was, but I remember what year I was at. It's okay, Adam, don't worry. That was the same powertrain. It was the 2.5-liter turbo with the 8-speed dual clutch transmission. I do think the fact that we have the dual clutch in the wet style versus the dry style dual clutch makes a big, big difference in terms of reliability as well as comfort. Dry types were more likely to overheat, or they were more prone to it. So if you are someone who does some stop and go driving, having the wet style dual clutch is quite helpful. As far as the turbocharged powertrain goes, so it is gasoline direct injection on the 2.5-liter turbo. I believe we also have multi-point in there as well too, so that kind of counteracts some of the negatives of GDI. I will say with any vehicle, make sure you take care of it, service your vehicle, get oil changes at the proper time. And if you actually look at your owner's manual, you may notice that there's actually 2 different schedules for servicing. There is one for extreme, and then there's one for regular usage. I often refer or tell my customers, I typically follow extreme because here in Canada, or at least where we live, we have very, very different weather throughout the year. So come wintertime, we have very cold weather, and then in the summer, we can have very hot weather. So because of this, it influences, of course our lights shut off, it influences when you should perform service on your vehicle. But also take a look at your driving. Are you a lot of high-speed driving? Are you a lot of stop-and-go driving? Are you hard on your vehicle, hard on equipment? Either way, take that into account when you do service your vehicle and make sure you take care of it, or wherever you choose to service is someone who will actually take care of your car. A lot of people will go to Jiffy Lubes or those 15-minute oil change places and get stuff worse on their car. They'll come out with a vehicle that is not doing well. So please do some research on where you take your vehicle, please, and make sure you keep your receipts. Okay, install snow ramps on your vehicle too. Let's see, any other questions? Yeah, I always recommend servicing at a dealer. I just found out yesterday, someone posted in our neighborhood community group saying, I took my 2021 CRV to, I'm not going to say the name of the place where they took it, but it was one of those quick oil change shops, and they charged me $137. I was like, oh, we charge a whole lot less for service at the dealership, and that's done by Kia technicians. So people who, you know, work on cars and are licensed and have done research and know these vehicles. Those quick lube shops don't actually need certified technicians, so you could be a high school kid and work there. They have some internal courses for it, and of course I'm sure they teach you how to do the job, but they're not actually licensed, at least for the most part, and of course that can vary by region. So if you guys are watching somewhere else, maybe they have different laws, but I know here you don't need to be licensed to do that. So pretty cool. Mind you, you can also do your oil change yourself if you really want to. Let's see. Was the correct oil properly inserted into the vehicle? So they didn't mention that. All they said was, I paid this much at this place. Is this normal? And everyone said, no, that is really expensive. Echo said, I worked at Jiffy Lube before, LOL. Yeah, so, I mean, some of them are fantastic. It really comes down to, it's just like dealerships sometimes. Some of them are great, and some of them, maybe you don't have a fantastic experience. But I will say there is more peace of mind and a little bit more responsibility when you take it to a dealer, because if something does go bad, they're more likely to take care of you and take accountability for what they did wrong. When it's something like a quick lube shop, they might just be like, well, you know what I mean? So that is it for today's video, guys. We kind of went on a little bit of a detour here, but if there is any questions that I missed, please let me know in the comments down below. And again, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. And if you haven't already, maybe if you want to, the button's there and it's free to hit. Thank you so much. Bye-bye, you guys.